deception, mayhem, scandal. You clicked on this video because you wanted to hear about Devin the Dream Haney, who is now suing Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy in the state of New York City. Welcome to New York City. Wow. Boom. You never know. It is now official. Devin Haney has filed a lawsuit against Ryan Garcia. Now, bear in mind, Devin did preview this, that this would be a potential option on the table. And now the time is now. So in the next 1 minute, we're going to go over the lawsuit. And spoiler alert, he is suing for a variety of things, including fraud and battery. But I got to go through the information and break down what he's claiming. Make sure you guys subscribe. I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. So I made this graphic for you guys. Make sure you follow me on social media. And it says lawsuit. Ryan and Golden Boy are being sued. Devin Haney sues Ryan Garcia for battery, fraud, and more. I will put the link to Boxing Scene, who were the first on the story, Lance Pugmire. And here's a pull quote that I want you guys to see. The fraud count is connected to Ryan Garcia's signed claims that he would fight drug-free and that he would make weight for the title fight. As for the unjust enrichment count, Devin Haney's legal team says that Ryan Garcia does not deserve to keep his purse and pay-per-view cut. Wow, this is unheard of. Now Devin Haney, now Devin Haney wants Ryan to not have made any money from the fight. This, if they rule in his favor, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, this will be the first time in combat sports history where somebody pops dirty for any variety of banned substance and their purse was taken away somehow, via lawsuit, like their entire purse. Crazy stuff. But I don't know. I'm just trying to process everything. This is brand new news. So Haney's legal team says Garcia does not deserve to keep his purse and pay-per-view cut. So they want his money. Says Devin Haney, this is insane, people. Devin Haney is the face of boxing because he has challenged the franchise in many ways by working with multiple promoters, by crossing the sides of the street among broadcasters, and now he's challenging PED use. This is all for the good of the sport. I don't understand how any of that makes you the face of boxing. These are scenes from the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight. And, now he's going full Nino Brown. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, Miss Hawkins. If I go down, I'm taking a bunch of people with me. Kareem Akbar, the educated brother from the bank. He's going full Nino Brown at this moment. Law and Order. Boom, doom, 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 doom. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So here's the full article. I'll also link it. Devin Haney sues for battery, fraud, and more. Devin Haney on Friday filed a lawsuit against Ryan Garcia alleging battery, fraud, and unjust enrichment, while also naming Ryan Garcia's promoter, Golden Boy Promotions, in the lawsuit, demanding a full review and adjustment of accounting for their controversial bout that's now a no contest. So the fight doesn't go against Devin Haney in terms of initially it was scored as a loss. He already got that overturned. But this is in addition to that. this is what his team wants. In the April 20th fight against WBC 140-pound champion Devin Haney, Garcia came in overweight, proceeded to stunningly batter Devin Haney with 3 knockdowns. It was really more than 3, and prevail on the scorecard. Days later, Garcia was found by VADA and the New York State Commission to have the banned PED ostarine in his system, a banned substance, and his victory was later converted to a no contest. Ryan is currently suspended, while Garcia was slapped with a year-long suspension and fines. Haney's attorney, Pat English, wrote in the 16-page filing that Devin Haney is seeking punitive damages for the transgressions committed by Garcia. This is where you guys got to pay attention. It's going to get real chippy. Devin Haney is a consummate professional. Ryan Garcia has shown no respect for himself, the business, or the sport. Haney's father, trainer Bill Haney, told Boxing Scene minutes after the lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court in New York, the venue where Garcia and Devin Haney fought at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. And he says Devin is the face of boxing, which I already went over, because he's challenged. I mean, this makes no sense that he's the face of boxing because he crossed the street. He never worked with PBC. So as far as I'm concerned, he keeps calling out Tank. He didn't cross the street enough, if that's the case. As he did in petitioning the New York Commission to suspend Garcia and vacate his victory, Attorney English noted in Friday's civil lawsuit that Ryan Garcia had signed documents vowing he had not used performance-enhancing drugs. In the bout, Haney was immediately rocked. You guys can check out my fight predictions and fight breakdowns, so I'm not going to really get into that aspect. Haney's lawsuit repeats how Garcia was behaving erratically throughout the lead up to the fight, talking incessantly on social media, conspiracy theories, acting strange. At their Hollywood News press conference, missed weight by 3.5 pounds. I thought it was 3.4 pounds, but who's counting? Swigging from a beer bottle while standing on a ceremonial scale. In addition to 3 positive ostarine results backed up by positive tests in the B samples, the Haney camp attached a YouTube video of Garcia taking an IV of fluid with a yellowish tinge before the bout. So basically, a lot of this same information was what they submitted to the New York State Athletic Commission when they were trying to get Ryan maxed out in terms of punishment, right? And they're just kind of recycling it here. Let's be real. And it says, at no time did Devin Haney consent to engage in a bout against a boxer who was positive for performance-enhancing, PED or masking agents, and he would not have proceeded with the bout had he known. I mean, this is just, I've already went over it because that's literally the same language in the civil suit that they sent to New York State Athletic Commission. You're a pro fighter. Of course, nobody wants to be cheated. Nobody wants to fight somebody with an unfair advantage. I get that. But this sounds pretty bad because it sounds very like, woe is me. Like Devin's the only fighter in the history of combat sports that fought somebody and then they had some janky substance in their system that was discovered. He's not the only person that this has happened to, and that doesn't make it right. But at the same time, you sound crazy saying Devin wouldn't have continued to fight and proceed with the bout had he known. I mean, that's like saying a highway police officer wouldn't have went up to this car window without his gun drawn if he knew the guy was a felon and was going to shoot him. But you know what I'm saying? It's one of the potential outcomes when you're in a dangerous profession. Do you see what I'm saying? So it just sounds like almost like, I can't believe this has happened to me. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly. It says the New York State Athletic Commission would not have permitted the bout had it known of the positive finding of Garcia's IV use. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could look through my childhood, look at my teen years, look at my early 20s, and start picking out a bunch of things that I would have done different. Even relationships. Oh, that girl was good to me. I would have treated her better, or, I would have appreciated it more, or I wouldn't have did that, or I wouldn't have hung out with these people. I mean, you could do this all day with, I'm sure, your life, unless you live a picture perfect life, and in hindsight look and say, oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and this would have happened and this wouldn't have happened. I mean, that's just kind of common sense. Adding insult to the commission in the sport of boxing, Mr. Ryan Garcia alleged that he was high as uck during his bout with Mr. Haney. This very clearly brings disrepute on the sport of boxing and the commission. I mean, again, Ryan said a lot of stuff. He said he slept with George Kambosos' wife. I don't know why he was saying these things, but it's not true, and he's been saying it. You know what I mean? And I'm not giving Ryan a pass. I don't know why he's acting erratic and saying this random stuff. But to have a civil suit and any kind of court case, you have to be able to prove what you are suing for. Like, it's just what it is. You have to be able to prove what, like, hey, he did this. There was a malicious intent. He purposefully knew, it's like you're charging someone for a murder. If you're charging someone for a murder, there's different severities of murder. Murder in the first, manslaughter. And each charge means something else. Like, it means a certain thing. Like, was this a premeditated crime? Like, you knew when you walked in the house what was going to transpire. That's premeditated. So that goes down as a different count, right? As opposed to, like, somebody was just driving and, some accident happened, and then the end result was the same, but how we got there was something different. It wasn't premeditated. That matters. And in the court of law, all these little nuanced things definitely matter, because you have to be able to, you can't just, I think he was on a masking agent. You have to be able to prove in court that he was on a masking agent. Let's continue. Actions of Ryan Garcia and those who assisted him. It's a high degree of moral turpitude and demonstrate wanton dishonesty as to imply criminal indifference. What are we talking about? To his civil obligations, as well as willful or wanton. Oh, well, he's put wanton. See, that's why I was so confused. This article says wonton, like some Chinese food. So I was like, I just read it verbatim, so don't hold me to that. And it says negligence or recklessness, or where there's a conscious disregard of blah, blah, blah. It's just legal jargon. Conduct so reckless as to amount to such disregard, English wrote. So just fancy legalese saying Ryan is guilty. In the battery count, Haney at no time agreed to engage in a bout against an individual who had taken the performance PED. His consent was limited to, so it's basically the same thing. I'm not even going to read this. He's basically saying Devin wouldn't have fought him if he knew that Ryan had some in his system. But here's the kicker. Ryan, I'm not saying it's true, but Ryan and his team have alleged that Ryan didn't even know something was in his system, and they said it was a tainted substance. So that's what I'm sure, if that was Ryan's patsy or scapegoat to the New York State Athletic Commission, then I'm pretty sure they're going to continue that logic into a civil case. So again, the onus is on Team Haney to prove all this stuff. Haney ultimately withdrew from defending his belt against Sandor Martin. We knew the fraud count is connected to Ryan Garcia's signed claims that he would fight drug-free and that he would make weight for the title fight. I mean, listen, I ain't passed the bar, but I know a little bit enough that you won't illegally search my ish. This sounds pretty bad. This sounds like literally the New York State Athletic Commission 16-page letter that Team Haney sent them, and it sounds like slightly revised. Much of what they complained about, much of what they said to the commission, they just put it in the civil suit. This is bad. This is bad because, again, you have to be able to prove it, and it's like Devin didn't consent to this. But Ryan, his claim is that he didn't know something was in his system. So the commission, the test hadn't come back. So they didn't know something was in his system. You didn't know something was in his system. So I don't know what you even do here. What do you do in a situation where the fight is April 20th and it's not discovered until tests are completed weeks later that on the 19th and 20th, Ryan has something in his system? So we'll see. We're going to see how this all plays out. But to say it's fraud because Ryan signed claims and said he would make weight, to me, it sounds flimsy because he did agree to make weight contractually. Let's be clear. Hold on. Subscribe. Ryan agreed that he would make 140. For whatever reason, he didn't. He couldn't. He didn't. He said he tried. He couldn't. Your team and his team had a choice to make. I'm trying to make this as clear as humanly possible. When he missed weight by the 3.4 pounds, almost 4 pounds, you and your team and his team had a choice to say, hey, this fight is over. He's unprofessional. Devin's professional, and he's a consummate professional. We're not fighting somebody with that type of weight gain. When my fighter had to crunch down to the weight and then he's comfortable, fight is over, which is what I said should happen. So the Haneys didn't listen to Boxing Ego, clearly, and they proceeded to the fight. Then they allowed Ryan to get off not paying the $500K per pound that they agreed to verbally at the press conference, right? But to get around $650K of his money and give that to Team Haney as penalty money. And they said the belt would not be eligible for Ryan, but Devin, should he win, keeps his belt, which he did. The only reason he doesn't have it is because he lost to Sandor Martin, right? And from that point, you agreed to fight this man at this new weight and receive compensation for that. So now you're trying to sue him and you're saying he's being fraudulent, but you agreed once you have a contract, the contract was initially null and void. Ryan defaulted. But then the two parties congregated and had a choice to proceed or not to proceed. Devin chose to save the event. You got to live with the results. You took the man's money. You got to live with the results. Like, for example, and it's so crazy. I know I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. But it's crazy I have to break this down. And I'm not even a lawyer, but I got to break this down to show you the flaw and the problems or potential problems as I see it. For example, person signs up for a credit card. They say, this is your APR, this is your interest rate. You got to pay your minimum. Your balance is this. So you spent this much on the credit card. This is your interest rate. There's no annual fee, blah, blah, blah. That's the terms and conditions. Monthly, you need to pay as long as you have an outstanding balance. That is the deal when you sign up for a credit card, right? People, for whatever reason, their money's funny, loss of a job, they default. So it becomes past due. And I used to work at a credit card company, in case you're wondering. So it's past due. Once it goes beyond like 31 days, it's negatively impacting your credit score, right? Then if you don't pay, like you promised, guess what? It goes to collections and your account will likely be closed, right? So follow me. I'm just giving you guys an analogy. from that point on, let's say it's not in collections, but you have this outstanding debt with fees and blah, blah, blah with the credit card company just a step before the collections. If you make a deal to pay not the whole balance, but they say, hey, you owe $6,000, and then you make a deal with them and then say, hey, I could pay you guys $4,000 in 4 installments in 4 payments, and then we'll just call it even. If the credit card company agrees to that, then it's a non-issue, because they're at least like, hey, we're not gonna get the full $6,500 or whatever that they owe, but they can't pay, and we'll at least get some of our money back, right? Or people who have done the promise to pays with your cell phone provider. You were supposed to pay your bill on the 20th, right? I get it. You defaulted on that. But you called AT&T or T-Mobile or whatever and said, hey, I can't pay, but let me pay in multiple payments, or let me pay you next month and I'll pay the full balance when I get my next check, blah, blah, blah. Then you enter new terms because it's, in essence, a new agreement. That's what I see here with this Devin Haney business. Ryan defaulted. He was supposed to make 140. He didn't. He couldn't. You and your team, you and your dad and Eddie Hearn met up with his team, didn't put him on the rehydration clause, and just accepted this newfound weight with penalty money. So I don't see how you're like, oh, this is fraud. Ryan said he would make weight, but he didn't make weight, which happens in boxing, and he forfeited money. You took his money. Where is that in the lawsuit? Like, hey, we'll give him the $650K back. How, like, understand what I'm saying, people. How do you say new terms, we'll still fight you? Devin at the weigh-in said, weight don't really matter. He says, I'm a A+ fighter and Ryan's a C+ fighter, trying to be like Floyd Mayweather. You proceed with the fight. You took his $650K. Now you're suing him for more money. You're saying you don't want him to get pay-per-view proceeds, which I think this fight flopped, but whatever. You're saying you don't want him to get his salary. And now you're saying he tricked us and it's fraud because he missed weight. That part has already been hashed out as soon as you took his money. I went over this from day one. So it's weird that Devin's legal team is still trying to fight that angle. I don't get it. Because if I was Ryan, this is what I would be thinking. You want me to give you more money, but you still have my $650,000, which was the new deal in the new terms after I missed weight. So what happens to my $650K? This is insane. As for the unjust enrichment count, Devin Haney's legal team says that Ryan Garcia does not deserve to keep his purse and pay-per-view cut. Wow. By virtue of his actions, Ryan Garcia was enriched at the expense of Devin Haney to the tune of millions of dollars. Specifically, Ryan Garcia advanced his reputation at the expense of Devin Haney. This translates to significant loss of future earnings for Devin Haney. This is shaky, bro. They know Devin, I guess the fight was so horrible, everything has been stifled, and now they like, Ryan effed us. Ryan Garcia additionally received millions of dollars to which he was not entitled. It is against equity and good conscience to permit Ryan to retain what is sought to be recovered in this action. Wow. As for Oscar De La Hoya Golden Boy, Haney's claim he's been deprived of funds demanded by June 20th in a New York commission consent. Under the terms of that consent order, Ryan must return the guaranteed non-pay-per-view earnings purse that he had been paid to the promoter Golden Boy. But how you know he didn't do that if that's what it is? Devin Haney and Devin Haney Incorporated are contractually entitled to 47% of all profits for the bout and thus entitled to 47% of the funds required to be returned. Golden Boy has asserted that it will not share its extra profits from the bout as a result of the forfeiture ordered by the New York Commission. This constitutes a breach of contract by Golden Boy and or unjust enrichment to Golden Boy, the lawsuit alleges. I don't know about any of that because to my understanding, Golden Boy was to be paid the money, and then that was just between, they're the promoter, they're the organizer. Why? I'm not a lawyer. Why would Devin Haney get 47% of it instead of the organizer who put up, the event and took the liability of hosting the event? So I don't know about that part. Haney's legal team is requesting further funds from Golden Boy due to Garcia to be placed in the escrow. Bill Haney said Friday that his son will accept a rematch against Garcia as long as the purse money is acceptable and Garcia is held to the most stringent of drug test screening. Messages left Friday for Garcia's attorney and Golden Boy seeking their response were not immediately returned. Wow. So that is the latest, people. In my opinion, again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not my battle. I have no dog in the race. I'm not fighting. I'm not getting sued. This don't have nothing to do with me. So y'all can type and leave all the stupid comments. I'm just giving you my opinion. But this sounds crazy. I think this makes Devin Haney really look bad. Like, when have you ever heard of a fighter suing another fighter for battery? Like, you guys, it's not like a civilian, like the guy at the OC County Fair that Devin Haney punched in the chest or whatever. When have you heard a fighter who knows how to fight and protect themselves and they've been trained in the martial arts of fighting, and then they're suing saying I got battered, like almost like a spouse or something? I don't know. I ain't really heard of it. And then I've already went over it. The fraud, saying the fraud and all this stuff. We'll have to see where this goes. But watch this space. Subscribe to the channel. That is the latest. Ryan and Golden Boy being sued by Devin Haney. Subscribe.